good evening, and good evening again. I think that the representative was not happy with what I had to say. So I am going to re-record and then I will put it up for you guys. What we were going to talk about and what we started talking about, I'm going to do the quote, which is one day someone will walk into your life and make you see why it never worked out with anyone else. Will make you see why it never worked out with anyone else. And it's anonymous. We are still addressing back to basics. And again, this subject matter will affect how you are presenting yourself. So let's go. Let's get started again. Why? Do you know why? Tonight's why is why do you allow yourself to be called out of your name by man or woman, not just in your upright position, but even in the throes of what you are calling intimacy, when in actuality, it's just sex. Mhm. You allow some men to use the B word. Yes, the second letter of the alphabet, the B word, when referencing you, and you do not feel some sort of way. In order for you to be the B word, there is a negative connotation with regards to your mother, as well being a female dog. Women, it depends on who the woman is. She can even call you the B word, and you do not feel the need to take your earrings off and grab some Vaseline. Why? Why? Why do you feel that it should make your eyes roll back and your lace front turn to the back in the throes because he's calling you all kinds of despicable names in the midst of and treat you like one of those persons he has been watching in his porn movies? Why? Please. Now, I am not speaking to those persons who might be married and are attending this tea party. And do you have your life books? Please get your life books, yes. Hebrews 13:4, Amplified Version, says, marriage is to be held in honor among all, that is regarded as something of great value. Great value. And the marriage bed, undefiled by immorality or by any sexual sin. For God will judge the sexually immoral and adulterous. That's what the Bible says. Now, let's define intimacy. Intimacy, close familiarity, or friendship, closeness. The intimacy between a husband and wife. The intimacy between a husband and wife. So if that be so, A one-night stand could not be considered intimacy because that close familiarity or friendship is not present. Correct? Yes, correct. I would like to submit that you do not know your value, that you do not know your value. You have your life books, yes? Well, the life book, the Bible, speaks to your self-worth. So if you'll go with me, please, to Genesis 1:27. So God created man in his own image, in the image and likeness of God. He created him, male and female. He created them. Let's go to 1 Peter 2:9. You got it? 1 Peter 2:9, Amplified Version, reads, But you are a chosen race, a royal priesthood, a consecrated nation, a special people for God's own possession, so that you may proclaim the excellencies, the wonderful deeds and virtues and perfections of him who called you out of darkness into his marvelous light. That's what the Father says about your self-worth, that you are chosen, a royal priesthood, a special people for God's own possession. That's what it says. Yeah. So now let's look at what the life book, the Bible, says about sex versus intimacy. You ready? Okay. So let's turn to 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 2. And it reads, But because of the temptation to participate in sexual immorality, let each man have his own wife, and let each woman have her own husband. Do you all, I'm about to date myself. Do you all remember back in the day, there was a commercial for Lay's potato chips? And the one that I remember has what is supposed to be the devil coming down and approaching a human. And he's got his pitchfork and he's got his bag of Lay's potato chips. And he says to the human, I bet you, that's how he said, I bet you cannot eat just one. And so he hands the one chip to the human, and the man bites it, and it's good. Oh my goodness, it's good. He put the rest of it in his mouth, and he starts to marvel over the flavor of this. Oh my goodness, it's good. It is so good. I think, and he reaches for more. Well, what am I talking about? This says in 1 Corinthians 7:2, but because of the temptation to participate in sexual immorality, let each man have his own wife, and let each woman have her own husband. because the Father knew it was just that good. That if you had your own husband and you had your own wife, well, you can flip it, spank it. You can have it as often as it crosses your mind, wherever it crosses your mind, because it's just that good. And so he relegated it to marriage, knowing that you could not just handle one. You couldn't handle just one encounter because it's so good. In your singleness, you couldn't handle it. So you would want to go from this person to this person to this person to satisfy the goodness, looking for that goodness. So that's the reason why. Okay, you with me? Now let's talk about intimacy. Turn your life books to the Song of Solomon. Yeah, we're going there. The Song of Solomon. The Song of Solomon is a love story of all times. It's about a country girl and King Solomon. The book expresses intense passion and deep longing for each other. This is what my New King James Version, the Study Bible, says. Solomon likens his bride's beauty to picturesque gardens and delicious fruit. Yet even in this eloquent expression of the passion between a bride and groom, there is exhortation to remain sexually pure before marriage. Song of Solomon, chapter 2, verse 7. In this way, the book celebrates human sexuality within the context of marriage. So let's go to Song of Solomon, chapter 7, verse 6 through 13. And I will be reading from the Amplified. And it reads, how beautiful and how delightful you are, my love, with all your delights. Your stature is like that of a palm tree, and your breasts like its clusters of dates. I said, I will climb the palm tree. I will grasp the branches. Let your breasts be like clusters of the grapevine, and the fragrance of your breath like apples, and your kisses like the best wine. That's what King Solomon said. And the Shulamite bride, she says, it goes down smoothly and sweetly for my beloved, gliding gently over his lips while he sleeps. And then the union of the love. It says, I am my beloved's, and his desire is for me. Come, my beloved, let us go out into the country. Let us spend the night in the villages. Let us go out early to the vineyard. Let us see whether the vine has budded and its blossoms have opened. And whether the pomegranates have flowered, there I will give you my love. There I will give you my love. The mandrakes give forth fragrance, and over our doors are all kinds of choice fruit, both new and old, which I have saved up for you, my beloved. Now that is how a king reverenced his wife. That's how a king reverenced his wife. He's not trying to choke her out, and she's talking about it hurts so good. What kind of craziness is that? It hurts so good? Really? This is how the life book speaks to intimacy. It's special. It's priceless. It's longing and endearing. He doesn't call her out of her name. No, he doesn't. He sees fruit and how they look. Delicious. So in closing, please turn to Romans 8, 6 through 10. And again, I'll be reading Amplified. And it reads, now the mind of the flesh is death, both now and forever, because it pursues sin. But the mind of the spirit is life and peace, the spiritual well-being that comes from walking with God, both now and forever. The mind of the flesh, with its sinful pursuit, is actively hostile to God. Is actively hostile to God. It does not submit itself to God's law. Since it cannot, and those who are in the flesh, living a life that caters to sinful appetite and impulses, cannot please God. However, you are not living in the flesh, controlled by the sinful nature, but in the spirit. If in fact the Spirit of God lives in you, directing and guiding you. But if anyone does not have the Spirit of Christ, he does not belong to him, and he is not a child of God. If Christ lives in you, though your natural body is dead because of sin, your spirit is alive because of righteousness, which he provides. So, you know we've been journaling, right? So I need you to reflect back and think about it. Why did you ever allow yourself to be addressed in such a manner? And why did you avail yourself in such a manner? And how did you feel when, after all of that's been done, after all of that's been said, you didn't reap the harvest and you're still single? So how did it work for you? How is it working for you? Self-evaluation. Reflect. in your journal. It's between you and the pages that you're writing on. Thank you for sitting with me. Again, I have no idea. I think the representative did not want to hear me say this because the world tells us so much that is so contrary to what the life book has to say. But I have one more why for you for Thursday. So I invite you to come back for one more why. Do you know why? On Thursday, 5:30 Pacific time, 7:30 Central, and 8:30 Eastern for you, me, and tea with Lady D. Thank you, thank you, and good night.